Nanatahala National Forest, 3-day, 2-night backpacking loop, 7¼ pounds. Is this really the trail? I think there's a bear in this tree. Did you see that? Hey everybody, Syntek 77 here, and let me tell you what the current situation is. I am here in North Carolina in the Nanatahala National Forest, and I'm about to do a 3-day, 2-night backpacking loop. I'm pretty excited. I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning. Fast forward to 3 o'clock p.m. Yeah, it was a little bit of a drive, and here I am. Down here in North Carolina. I'm parked actually by the Standing Indian Campground, although not right at it. That's like a campground for car camping and whatnot. But what I'll be doing is backpacking. So for overnight backpacking, you gotta park a little bit up the road at the information center, as you'll see it tagged on the signs if you're coming here to do this loop as well. Information booth is right over there, if you can see it over top of that pickup truck. And I'm just about all packed up and ready to go. I got my pack right here. As you can see, my brand new pack, it's a Gregory pack, as you can probably tell by the labeling there. And Gregory sent me this for testing, and I figured what better way to test a backpack than to take it out for 3 days on the trail. So this is a Gregory Optic 48 liter pack, and I actually got my base weight down to 7¼ pounds. Throw in my food and water, and I have a total pack weight of around 15 or less pounds. I'm pretty excited about that. And I do have a little bit of camera gear shoved in there that gives it a little more of a voluminous look, if you will. But I am traveling pretty light, and I'm pretty happy about that. Probably my lightest base weight that I've ever done. Actually, if you want more detail on all the gear that I'm using on this trip, we'll be seeing it as I go, but I do have a gear list linked in my video description, and in that gear list I have separate links for specific information on every single piece of gear if you really want to nerd out. But right now we're going to hit the trail, so I'm going to put this thing on and start hoofing it here. Ooh, yeah, that doesn't feel bad at all. Now I do have my front pack on with camera gear as well, but none of that is actual backpacking gear per se, so not on the list. Alright, get the hip belt going, and I'll be all cinched down and ready to go. Nice weather out. I should mention it is first week of July, but it feels pretty good. It's in the 70s right now with a low in the 60s, which I'm pretty happy about because back home in Delaware, just last week I hit like 101 degrees on my home thermometer. So I was a little nervous about the heat on this trip, especially because now I'm 11 hours further south, but feeling pretty good so far. So I'm liking the weather. No rain in the forecast either, which is nice. And over here is where we're going. So you can do this either counterclockwise or clockwise, obviously, right? That's how a loop works. I'm going to be going counterclockwise, so I'm heading down towards this Kimsey Creek Trail. Here's our information board here. Welcome to Nanatahala National Forest. And various maps and whatnot. Oh, somebody lost some hound dogs. That is a shame. As a dog owner, that is sad for me to hear, and they look cute too. Hope somebody finds them. What do we got over here? No camping here. No, we won't be doing that. Although speaking of that, I'm not going to be doing a ton of miles today because, like I said, it is already 3 p.m. So my plan today is under 5 miles. Just get into the woods, get camping, and then tomorrow I'll get up at a decent time and crush more miles than today, obviously. The total length of this loop is 20-ish miles, 22. I see some varying reports on the length, but we'll call it 22 miles or so. I'm thinking maybe, like I said, 4 or 5 today, then maybe 10 and 8 or something like that as we go. Nice in here though. Roots are a little slippery. Seems like they may have gotten some rain recently. I think maybe yesterday or the day before. But like I said, no rain in the forecast, which is nice. Looks like we actually pop out of the woods by the car camping area. and we're going to start on Lower Ridge so that we're going in a counterclockwise. So, back into the woods we go. Whew. A little bit steeper now, that's for sure. A lot quieter too now that we're away from the water. Very quiet. Pretty decent activity at the campground. I should mention it's Sunday. I'm starting on a Sunday, so I'm going to do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I'll be back at the vehicle and riding back home the same day. So Monday, Tuesday should be even lighter, particularly because we're up in the woods instead of the car camping area. But we'll see how many people we bump into. I already feel like I got the place to myself now, though. All right, keep going. My plan is probably I want to, by 7 o'clock, because it's going to be sunset around 8:30 p.m. By 7, I'd like to be at camp and set up. Just get what I can today. And then add whatever miles I need to tomorrow. Good Lord, I think that might be the largest fungi I've ever seen. Whew. Wow. All right. There's one for the record books for me, at least. See a little sunshine here. Is it opening up? Whoops. As I almost trip. No, can't quite see through there, but the sun's definitely beating down on me. Oh, yeah, that's right. I should probably take my watch off and put it on my front pack here so I can actually get a accurate temperature reading. Or maybe I don't want to know the temperature if it's gone up any. But it feels like it may have gone up a couple degrees. That's alright. It's better than being in the 90s or the upper 80s. You can hear those chipmunks are out too. I hear you. Alright, I'll keep moving. Oh, okay. Here we go. This is a little better. I can kind of see a mountain poking through there. And what looks like kind of a slightly run down. I don't know if you'd say this was a great campsite. I guess you could fit a tent in here. We're about 2.5 miles in. And so far, feeling pretty good considering I went to bed at 11 p.m. and got up at 2:50 a.m. So I'm on a little under 4 hours of sleep. But there's nothing like the excitement of a trip to make you forget that. I'm sure when I get to camp I'll be pretty beat, but right now I'm feeling pretty good. But we won't be camping here. We're going to keep going. See what we can do here. I do have 2 full liters of water on my pack with me right now. I chugged a bunch of fluids before I left the Jeep, so I'm okay for a little bit. Meaning that if I do find something up on this ridge, possibly towards the summit of Standing Indian Peak, or is it Standing Indian Mountain? One of those. I could theoretically camp, and apparently there is some decent camping around there, as well as a spring if I could find that. But even if I don't, I could get by with what I have if I find something soon, which I think that would be in the next couple miles. But we'll play it by ear. Otherwise, I'll just hunt out that spring and we'll see how it's flowing. Hopefully we get something out of it. From the reports I've read online, it's a piped spring and it's got some blazes to it, so that is a definite option. It's kind of my game plan for today, is to find that first and take it from there. I figure even if I don't need it tonight, it'll be nice. I'll definitely need water by the morning so I can get my breakfast water from that spring and then start my hiking day number 2. That's just a rough plan I have so far, at least. Pretty flat in here though. We've gained, let me see what the GPS says here. We're up to 4,300 feet and we started, I guess, 1,100 feet ago. So we've put on 1,100 feet of elevation gains in the first hour. Not bad. A little grown in here, that is for sure. As we gain a little more elevation. Ooh, nice butterfly. Whew. So, checked my watch, and it's only 71 degrees, so it's purely just my activity on these uphills, and maybe a little additional sun that's eating me up. Drank a little bit of my water so far. Did have a snack. I am carbing it up on this trip. I usually go low to no carb at home, and I've done backpacking trips in all different ways when I come out here. Sometimes I stick to no carb, sometimes I do a variation of no carb during the day, carb at night. This trip, I got a bunch of fun food from Packet Gourmet. They just celebrated their 10th year anniversary, so I got a bunch of stuff from them. I love their meals, so I just went all in on the carb train for this trip, but hopefully there'll be enough activity to kind of justify that. It's all good. So anyway, point of the story is I had some Turkish apricots back there, which was basically just a sugar burst, and it's giving me a little energy to get up this hill, but I am sweating. Whew. There's a bear in this tree. He's way up there. See him? Just a little cough to make sure he goes in the right direction. Did you see that? Okay, all right. I still hear him over there. That was crazy. He was way up there. So it must have been subconscious. I'm walking and I hear some movement in the tree, and I look up and I'm like, I see a branch moving. I'm like, it's just a squirrel. No big deal. But then I started thinking to myself, I had this flashback to the Shenandoah trip video. I'll link it up here, that Sarah and I did years ago. And when we were driving home out of the park, we saw some people pulled over, and there was a bear. It was, this one was that one was a small cub, and it was way up in the tree. I mean, way higher than that. I'm talking like 60 feet. I'm not even exaggerating. It was crazy. That's why everybody stopped to look. So I'm reliving that in my head for some reason. And then I was like, wait a minute, why am I thinking about that story? And I turned around and I went back, and I saw a large black mass. Well, you saw it, I hope. A large black mass in the tree. And I'm like, I think I'm seeing this again. He was up there trying to get some food. All right, well, we got a bear sighting for the video. Now, in my last video in the Black Forest Trail, the most recent one I just did, I saw a bear as well. But it was early morning. I didn't have my camera put together yet. I was just getting on the trail. I got one this time. I was actually worried. That's why I coughed, because I've run into bears on the trail, just like that video I was just talking about, and it's no big deal most of the time. They don't want to deal with you, but I am assuming, or I assumed, that he got out of that tree because I spooked him. But I wanted to make sure it wasn't a coincidence and he didn't come down and get too surprised by me being right there. That was fun. All right. I'll take it. Moving on, I have a proximity alarm set for where I believe this camp, and more specifically, the spring should be. I just went on my GPS software based on some trip reports and topo maps and just kind of guessed where it should be. So my GPS will beep sometime in the next mile to let me know that I'm close, and then I'll start scouting around. Bear sighting, nice. Is this really the trail? Is it? I mean, there's a blue blaze back there. I wonder if I came off of it. This doesn't seem right, does it? This can't be. This can't be it. The ground's pretty beat up underneath. I think this is it. All right, it's getting pretty, yeah, this is it. It's getting pretty intense up here. Pretty grown in. All right, so proximity alarm just went off, which means, if you can see it through the reflection there, I'm within 1/10 of a mile of potentially the spring break off and the spur trail to Standing Indian Peak. So that's a good thing. At this point we just scout. It looks like it still goes up a little bit more, and then hopefully it'll flatten soon. We'll see if we can't find the spur trail for the spring. Not the safest place to be in the trail there, buddy. Oh, okay. Appalachian Trail. So I'm going to poke around some more and see if I can't find something a little less on the actual trail for the sake of myself and others. And what's this? Oh, it's the lost dog thing again. Ran off after a squirrel on Monday from their home in the Rainbow Springs Standing Indian area, so it ran away from home. Darn. Hate to keep being a bummer with that. Sorry. That's a shame. Alright, so we're on the Lower Bridge Trail, so says the sign. Okay, so AT keeps going down there, and we're going to camp somewhere around here. I have to double check the map. I'm not sure if we actually end up at this point taking the AT to make the other part of our loop, but we'll figure that out. But let's go take a look out here and see if there's a view. Somebody's pair of socks too. Okay, finding all kinds of fun stuff on our quest for the spring, and there is definitely no shortage of campsites around here, so we'll see what's going on. Looks like the summit's up here, like I said, but I might just poke around, drop my pack, and then see if there's a view on the summit after that. It's 5:45 at this point, so it's been a little over 2 hours of hiking and about 5 miles on the dot, which is what I was going for. And looks like I'll be set up by 7, as long as everything goes okay here. I don't see why not. So I'm actually going to poke around, just set up camp, and then if I stumble upon the spring trail in the process, all the better. Oh wow, actually look at this. We are sucked in by fog. Now the forecast I read said that there was going to be fog this morning. I wasn't around to see if that was true, but that it was going to blow off or burn off. But we got some good fog out there. I can't see anything, and I feel like there probably would be a view out there normally. Foggy. Oh yeah, you can actually see it rolling across the crest there. Pretty cool. I just read my notes that I should have read before wandering around, although it's been fun wandering around in the fog here. But the spring is actually located off of the AT, the White Blaze Appalachian Trail back there. So I am going to go back that way, which is where I'm probably camping anyway, and take a look on the AT. It says there's a fairly prominent white rock about 200 feet down after a steep decline. And that marks, I guess, where you go for the water. We'll see. Yep, just like that one. It's all coming together. All right. Beautiful. Found it. That is definitely some flowing water. It was only a couple minutes walk. So I'm going to go ahead and top off. I did end up drinking like a quarter liter, so I'm going to fill that up. And then I might as well get my filter out of my pack, which is right on the outside for easy access. And top that off too, walk back up and set up camp. Got the good old Catadine Be Free with me this time. Has a 0.6 liter bag on it, so I can fill that, squeeze it into my bottle to fill it up, and then fill some more, just leave it in the dirty water bag, and I'll have 2.5 liters with me at camp. I'll come back down tomorrow morning and I'll be able to do the same thing. Actually, now that I look at it, should probably drink more water. That's probably less than a quarter liter that I've knocked out so far. Like I said, I did try to drink a lot before I came out too. Alright, there we go. I haven't used this filter in a little bit, so it's got to get wet before it gets some speed, but once it breaks in a little bit, this guy's pretty fast. Nice. Alright, got our tent spikes set up, half of them at least. Just have the tarp kind of halfway set up. Got a little bit of wind coming from back there, so it's blocking that nicely for now, and later on I can flip it forward before bed. I don't anticipate it being really a problem though, with a low in the mid or maybe even upper, probably mid 60s. I'm not worried about it. Now my gear that I'm using as far as shelter and sleep system goes, exactly the same as my most recent Black Forest trip video, my most recent trip video that I did. So that's the one that's linked up here. If you want to see this gear in more action, check that vid out. So I will kind of skip over the details, but half-wet hammock, and I don't have them on yet because I'm just kind of lounging, but eventually I'll get my hammock gear bottom and top quilt. I have a 40 top, 30 bottom. But yeah, got my little chill spot going on. I'm about to probably cook some dinner. I don't know what time it is. Probably going on 7, which was my target. Actually, my target was to be at camp by 7. And I'm set up at 7 pretty much. Don't have much to do. Like I said, I'll fluff my quilts. Got my bag full of food here. It's actually the same bag from my last trip. It's just a grocery bag, really, that I will haul up in a tree later. I gotta hang a bear bag at some point, that's for sure, since we saw a bear, what, mile and a half from here? 2 miles at the most. Tonight, like I said, I'm doing all packet gourmet extravaganza, so I got 2 dinner choices. I got an all-American Works burger, which I brought some wraps for. You can eat this alone, but it's basically like a cheeseburger, but you put it in a wrap because that's a little easier to bring on the trail than a hamburger bun. Although, maybe I should try that sometime, like a Sloppy Joe. And then my other dinner option, because I have 2 dinners, of course, is an old standby of mine, my very favorite backpacking meal, the Texas State Fair chili. I think, since I've had kind of a long day and I'm tired, I'm going to go with my old standby, my favorite here, and wolf this down tonight. I've showed that plenty of time before. And then maybe I'll save the burger, which is a little more... it's easy to make, but as far as eating it, it's a little more fun to kind of make each one and wrap it up and enjoy it and put ketchup and mustard on it. I'll save that for tomorrow because I'm pretty beat. I just want to probably eat and go to sleep because I don't have a lot of, well, sleep from last night in me. And yeah, then I got some grits for breakfast tomorrow. I got my Jiva Cube coffee. I've never tried that before, but they showed up in my mailbox one day. They said, we thought you might like this, so I tried one at home the other day before I came out. I'll tell you what, arguably, I don't know, I'd have to go back and try Starbucks again, but I think it might be my favorite coffee as far as dehydrated or freeze-dried coffee that I've had on the trail so far. I will, and that was at home. Usually on the trail, even the crappiest coffee tastes amazing, right? So I'll see how I like that in the morning. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I had a little bit of trail mix to keep me alive. Yeah, I guess I got some dinner going. I did switch up my stove system this time to an alcohol stove instead of Esbit, just for fun. And it was nice and light and cheap. 1/4 ounce cat can stove. I'll bust that out in a little bit. But feels good to be at camp and chilling while there's still some light. Although we got this crazy fog that rolled in. But that's okay. It looks kind of cool. I'm enjoying it. So, yeah. Guess it's dinner time. Alright, what do we got going on here? Got my Texas State Fair chili right there. Got my little packet of corn chips and cheese. Put that to the side. And pull out my bag of hot sauce. Alright, so how much water? 12 ounces. You would think I'd have that memorized by now, right? Which is cool because this is my 450 ml pot, which is 14.5 ounces. So I just fill it a little below all the way up. And then simple piece of foil as my lid, because this didn't come with a lid, but that's all right. Foil is even lighter. I always keep a little bit in my kit. So I know that 2.5 ounces is up to the bottom of the holes on this guy, and I know that for 16 ounces of water it takes about 2 ounces, so I probably only need halfway to max fill on this. And I already measured out enough for each one of my meals plus 1 extra. I always add a little bit of extra to my fuel bottle, which is clearly labeled, by the way, so I don't drink it, and a little X on the cap. But that way I can just have some for safety if I end up cooking a little more than I expected. Or you could soak a piece of wood in it, use it as a fire starter, etc. Obviously you could light this with a lighter if you'd like, or you can use a striker, although if you're going to use a striker, please keep in mind that you don't want to flick forward with this, right? Because you'll probably or possibly knock this thing over, which would waste your fuel, or even worse, if it did ignite, well, that wouldn't be good. So I always make sure to hold this part stationary, the striker part, and pull this backward along it. That way you're going away instead of towards. There it goes. I'm a little rusty. It took a couple shots, didn't it? Alright. You can barely see it, but that flame's going. I got my water vessel with my lid. I got my chili ready. This barely fits on there. I got a nice flat rock for it. That's nice. Wait a few minutes, dump it in here, and dinner is served. And then while it's steeping, which only technically takes 10 minutes, although I usually let it sit even longer for just safety's sake, probably set up my bear bag line now while I got some light. All right. Here we go. Just 25 feet of Zing It and a little mini carabiner. Now, people often take larger carabiners because they have some weight to them, or you can put a little mesh sack on here, like a little mesh stuff sack on here, and put rocks in it. But I just used the mini carabiner to wrap it around this, like any stick laying around. Toss the stick, which I find is a little easier than a rock, but hey, that's just me. And then this carabiner I can use to attach to, I can either put that whole grocery bag up in the air. I've done that before with my stuff also double bagged in a gallon Ziploc, or sometimes I just use my pack cover and wrap all my stuff up in that hobo style, and that's why I used a little carabiner just to kind of help me do that. But I'm not going to put my food up yet. I still got to eat, but it's back there steeping my chili. I'm just going to leave this here so that later when it's dark and I want to go to bed, I don't have to fiddle with that, because I've learned the hard way that that can be a little frustrating. You're just not in the mood for that. So I am all set now. Wrap it around another branch so it doesn't go anywhere, and I'm good to go. Alright, it's been a little bit now. Let's get the food out. Now, I don't necessarily recommend this unless your pack is empty and you're willing to take a little risk, but I've never had one of these rehydrating bags fail on me. What I do is basically in here, wrapped in a t-shirt. This is actually my long sleeve t-shirt that I'm going to put on quite soon because it's down to like 61 now, and it's nice and warm from my food pack. Inside of that is my 1/2 ounce Dutch Wear Gear sit pad. I can use this for under my feet at night if it's usually colder temps than this, but for sitting around tonight on top of a rock or while I eat my meal, this would be nice. But it's also foam, so it's a good insulator. And then that way this stayed nice and hot the whole time it was rehydrating. So I'll give this a go right now because I am hungry, and at this point we're probably closing in on 8 o'clock, which means it'll be getting dark soon. I'm hungry. Rock seat. There we go. So all in all, pretty good day so far. Not a very long day in terms of hiking. Only maybe 2.5 hours to actually get to here at the most. But it was a good time. And I did 11 hours, or I guess 12 hours total of commute to get here. So that's alright with me. Put my crunchy chips and my cheese in here. Get my hot sauce ready. I prefer to sprinkle as I go. Oh my God. Never gets old. Maybe for you guys and gals watching me eat it, but I love this stuff. There is our fire pit over here, although it's pretty dilapidated. It was probably pretty nice at one point, but it's just been used so much because we're right on the AT. It's probably a great kind of focal point for people to go to when they're doing the AT, which we're going to be doing a portion of tomorrow. But anyway, you can tell this place gets pretty well used. But most of those ATers at this point have moved through this section. We are down in the southern end where most people start. This isn't the start, it starts in Georgia, but it starts in the south is what I mean. And it's Sunday. So, I don't know. Sometimes you get to these places and somebody shows up late because they came up after work or something like that. So we'll see. But this is a big enough area that nobody would have to set up close to me. They could easily be out of sight. And you can share this area quite nicely. Anyway, I'm running my mouth. So the point is I want to eat food and then potentially maybe do a small fire. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Depends how tired I am. If I feel like doing that for fun. I certainly don't need to, but it's nice sometimes. And that'll be my night. So I think we had a successful day one. Can't wait for day two. We'll catch up in the morning. Well, that is definitely a beautiful way to wake up. Nice sunrise right out of your hammock. But it's bittersweet because I pulled out my camera just now to film that. And do you notice something that's wrong right now? Yeah. I don't know how much it's coming across, but my hammock's on the ground. I don't know what just happened. I literally was reaching under my hammock to grab the camera, and then I wasn't quite positioned right in the hammock, so I did kind of a sharp movement, just kind of to position myself at an angle, and now I hit the ground. So I have a feeling, and luckily I wasn't that far off the ground. Hopefully I didn't mess up my underquilt. I hope I didn't do anything stupid. I wonder what happened. Let's figure this out, because look, the tree is, I'm still connected. I have a feeling I know what's going on. I think I might know, but I'm not sure. But it might have something to do with the way I wrapped that tree strap up there, which was, I was kind of worried about anyway. All right, let's get out. Luckily I didn't land directly on my tripod. That would have hurt and probably messed up my quilt. All right, good morning everybody. Let's see what happened here. Definitely awake, don't need that. I really am perplexed here. There we go, see my tree straps here? So it runs up around the tree and through itself and then back down, suspending the hammock. So how on earth does this one look like that? Did something rip? Doubt it. This Kevlar is super strong. It has to be. Okay. Yep. No rips. No failures. No fault of Dutchware gear. Here's exactly what happened. Last night, I decided to just wrap around the tree. Now remember I mentioned this adjustable clip, right? Allows me to kind of choke up on the tree, if you will. But I was lazy last night, didn't want to use it. But I did notice last night that this had slipped down a little bit. And I believe what happened was, quite simply, it just slipped some more. So there's the dangers of that. Now it's not as bad as the line breaking because it kind of softened the blow. But basically, this just kind of slipped on down. And I lost a good deal of height. All right, lesson learned. So basically my abrupt movement when I was going to get ready to take a picture of that sunrise pulled the strap down along the tree, and well, that was the end of that. Anyway, I think I'm going to have some coffee and some West Memphis grits for breakfast. Maybe that'll make my butt feel a little better. Actually, my butt doesn't hurt too bad. Luckily. I'm glad it wasn't on top of any like sharp rocks or anything. Live and learn. All right, coffee time. By the way, if you're not familiar, just a cat food can that obviously you clean out, and then you take a hole punch and you make alternating holes, and that's it. It's 1/4 of an ounce and it's your stove. And then you just put denatured alcohol from the like Home Depot or something like that, or you go to a gas station, you get something called Heat, which comes in a yellow bottle. You'll see it over with the other like starter fluid and stuff like that, and it's your fuel. And here's those Jiva cubes I was talking about. The one I tried before was their regular or classic or something like that. This is a mocha one, so we'll see how that is. I'm having some West Memphis grits souffle. That's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to get the water in here, get this hydrating, and then I'll make a little more water for my coffee. It's not completely out, but it's just about burnt down enough that I should be fine. Just to grab the handle, doesn't look too bad. Take my lid off. Oh yeah, we got a rolling boil. Woo, beautiful. Pour that in, quick stir, let it sit for 10 minutes, and I got grits. A little cheese in there melting up. I've had this one before. It is pretty good if I remember correctly. You can see how much faster this Catadine B3 is moving now that it's broken in a little bit. But I hadn't used it probably because I was using a Sterapen for a couple trips. I hadn't used this in over a month. All right, let's try this mocha. Oh, that's pretty tasty. A little extra chocolatey hint in there. The classic one or regular, whatever it is that I had, I did like that a lot though, just because it tastes like regular. It tastes like regular black coffee with a little, just a touch of sugar in it. And if you wanted to bring your own powdered creamer, I guess you could do that. But basically it's black coffee with a touch of sweetness. Let's have my breakfast. Sitting in the sun. This is perfect. This campsite here is great. Obviously I'll be marking this on my waypoints, but if you can find that water source, there's no way you can't find a campsite. They're all over the place. But this one's cool because you get the sunrise right here. Oh man. Little green chilies in there. That is good. So yeah, you can see my poor dilapidated hammock. Again, no fault of the hardware. It's just the way I set it up. I did notice that it wasn't quite right yesterday. I should have wrapped it tighter or more level. And then that combined with the kind of smooth, straight tree that I had it on was a recipe for disaster. I'm going to use my Dutchable clips tonight, and I probably will continue to do that for future trips, just because I've been scarred by that falling situation. And that's why guys say never hang your hammock higher than you're willing to fall. You see some of those photos online of people doing crazy stuff with hammocks. That's all well and good, but I prefer to set up so that if it does slip, and mostly in my experience over the years, it's not outright failures. It's like I forget to lock something in, or I don't quite set up a buckle right, and I don't just fall to the ground, but I'll get some slippage. It's sudden movement, kind of like what I had last night. And I don't want to scare anybody away from hammocks. This is the first time I was ever actually in it and it fell. There's other times, like I said, that I screwed up and didn't do a buckle right or something, and when I sat in it, it started, falling, but I caught myself before I hit the ground. Anyway, I'm gonna shut my mouth and eat some grits. Get on the trail. And you know what? Let's go ahead and go take a look at the standing Indian Peak before we head out. Might as well take a look at this since there doesn't appear to be fog like there was yesterday evening. Let's see what we got here. Not bad, little view. Few clouds in the sky today. That's nice. You can see the mountains over there. Over there. We're up on a little bit of a ridge, obviously. I imagine the views probably are pretty spectacular all around here. Not bad. Not bad at all. Some good views for before 9 in the morning. I'll take it. If we do 10 miles today, then that'll leave less than 10 for the last day, so that'd be good. And we'll see how the terrain is, but based on the way it went yesterday, we knocked those 5 miles out. I mean, it was 2,000 feet of elevation gain, but the footing on the trails wasn't too terrible. So, and last night was crazy dark. It wasn't moonrise until 3:30 a.m. and the skies were clear because it's been pretty nice. So I knew it was going to get pretty dark. That's why I wanted to get set up pretty quick last night, because there was going to be no moon till 3:30 a.m. And I probably should have just walked up to the top and taken a look to see if I could see them better from up there, because it looked pretty open yesterday, even though we had the fog. But I just I didn't have the energy. And unfortunately, I'm under a lot of trees here, so I didn't take any photographs or really see any constellations or anything. But even through the trees, I could tell that the sky was just, the stars were crazy last night. It was so clear and so dark. Very nice. All right, well, let's get back on the trail, link up with the Appalachian Trail, start our day. All right, standing Indian Mountain. It was good night, good morning. Time to move on. This right here is the Appalachian Trail. Actually goes both ways. Down that way is where our water source was last night. Down this way is where the rest of our loop is. Let's do it. Nice and flat to start. You know, I like that. And by flat, I don't just mean level. I mean, there's no rocks or anything right now. Little bit of foliage on the trail today, but nothing as encroaching as yesterday. That's one nice thing about being on the Appalachian Trail. We're southbound on the Appalachian Trail right now, by the way. One nice thing about that is it gets a lot of traffic, so it's in good shape. It also gets a lot of maintenance attention because it's the Appalachian Trail. So for our section today on the AT, it should be relatively easy to follow, even beyond the fact that it's very well blazed. Although the trails I've been following so far, that Lower Gorge Trail, primarily yesterday, blazed in blue, have been blazed very nicely as well. So no issues really following the trail, except for that one time yesterday where it was totally socked in by those plants and whatnot. Definitely losing elevation. So see where that brings us. Maybe to some water. I did decide, I made a decision this morning. I had a liter of water left, and a lot of times I hike with just a liter anyway. So I decided not to backtrack to the spring. I just hit the trail. I figure we're going to lose some elevation today. We'll come in contact with some water, and I'll fill up then. Save me a little bit of time, and that way I could use that time to go up and see the peak like we did. So I just ran into a very cool gentleman on the trail here. Had a little day pack with him, asked him what he was doing. Said he was just kicking around, playing it by ear for the day. He ended up being really cool. We got to talking, and he lives around here. He's been hiking these woods for 30 years, and he told me all about the different trees and whatnot in here and trails. Gave me some info that I'll get to about where I was thinking to camp tonight, which is around the Betty Creek Gap area. But there's a caveat to that he gave me a heads up about, and that's the fact that you can't camp there. There's a bunch of signs that would have told me so, but that would have probably thrown me off a little bit. But he did give me a tip to, when I get there, I'm going to see a offshoot trail from the AT to my left, go down there until I hit the river. And then he said there's all types of good camping in there. So I think he just hooked me up with a really cool spot so that we have decent mileage left for tomorrow, but not too much. But what he was telling me as well about was there was a forest fire around here. Now, I've been in areas like Linville Gorge where they do control burns, and you can see the remnants of that. But I've noticed a lot of burn marks and stuff around here, and I guess I just assumed it was some sort of controlled situation, and I've never been here before. But he told me within the last couple years, maybe less, couldn't remember the exact date, but he said there was a fire in here. Definitely looked like it was deliberate, and thousands of acres were destroyed, burnt down. And so all this stuff we're seeing in here is all new growth that's popping up, because this is what comes up first. And there used to be all kinds of different trees here. There's also a lot of hemlocks in this area as well, from what he was telling me. It wasn't a fire that got them, no, it was, he may have said, but it was some sort of insect. Anyway, I just got a really cool education on the whole place, and I will be keeping my eye out now for these fire damage remnants, and it does kind of explain why it's so bushy and kind of new growthy around here. Crazy. I'll never know what it was like before. If I had come down just maybe 2 years ago, it would have been a totally different environment. That's what happens, and it's pretty sick that somebody would do that on purpose. He was saying that there's a guy that did it up in Gatlinburg that did get caught, and they were kind of guessing maybe that he did this as well, but he, the gentleman I was talking to, doesn't think so. Thinks it was somebody else, maybe with a chip on their shoulder about something. But there you go, there's some more evidence there. All right, well, that's your little history lesson, and I wish I asked your name, sir, but thank you for the hospitality and information. If you ever stumble upon this video, you seem to love these woods, so you just might find this video someday. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna keep on keeping on. About 3 miles in so far. It's around 10:30, cruising along. Coming into like a little open area here. It looks like potential campsite action for sure. And I'll tell you what I'll be doing is, oh yeah, this is definitely a campsite, and then I think another one over there. On my GPS data, I'll throw up some waypoints for any campsites I find. And then there's some potential options for anybody out there. Matter of fact, I think I see a tent and hear some people over here, so I won't intrude on them. So that was Beach Gap, apparently. Looks like some decent campsites. And there was also another spur trail or some sort of secondary trail that was coming in right by that Beach Gap sign. But we're going to continue on the AT here, following the White Blazes towards Betty Creek Gap. We will camp down by the river. Might as well drink some water and replace it while I can. Now that we're in the lower elevations and the water's actually flowing. Although, hey, that spring up top, the Standing Indian, was perfect. Can't ask for more than that when you're up at 5,000 feet. But anyway, I'll top off here. I think I'm going to continue to just carry 1 liter of water today, especially because there are these stream areas, and my main goal is to camp by a river. So I should be just fine once I get there. So no reason to really panic about water, I don't believe. And we'll be nice and hydrated. Maybe I'll have a snack too. And we'll be on our way. Trail's been really mild today so far, at least for these first going on 4 miles. Very chill, very nice. You can hear the water rushing over to my side here. That's a different source other than what I just got out of, that little trickle. This is something with a little more power behind it, that's for sure. Looks kind of cool. But yeah, we're making good time. Now, of course, as I say that, now greeted with some roots, but I mean, even this isn't terrible. So it is some pretty decent going so far. So I have a feeling we're going to hit our target probably at a decent time tonight for camp. Now, how do we go here? Let's see. As long as I don't slip. You never know how slippery this stuff is, right? Haven't gotten my shoes wet yet. They'll definitely dry with all the hiking I'm about to do, but it's always nice to try to keep them dry. There we go. Success. We are over the 7-mile mark now, working on 7.5 miles. We're at this intersection with the Timber Ridge Trail and a little sign for Appalachian Trail there. So we're not going to take the blue blazed spur here. We're going to continue for now on the Appalachian Trail and following those white blazes. Moving along. Alright, at this point it is also 11:52. I'm doing pretty good on mileage. I feel like Betty Creek Gap, I don't know the exact mileage offhand, but a guesstimate is 9 miles when I used the little measuring thing on my GPS. So anyway, I don't think it should be a problem to break for lunch at all. So I'm gonna make up some chicken salad I got, buffalo chicken salad by Packet Gourmet. I've had that numerous times by myself. Usually it's plenty without the wraps, but I do have some tortillas with me this time because I brought them along for my cheeseburger rack tonight. And I got some extras, so I think I'm gonna have some chicken salad wraps. All right. I'm just sparing 2 of my wraps for this. Anything else I'll just eat out of the packet, but I think that should be plenty of food, probably more than enough actually. But I usually split it with my wife. Alright, give that a little wrap up. Tuck the end so I don't spill on myself and become bear bait. That is good. A little spicy, a little mayonnaise action. So, actually nice to sit down and take a little load off too. As a matter of fact, that sign right back there, it's facing the other way, but it says Carter Gap Shelter. Is actually right up here, and this is another campsite here that I've tagged. There's also several signs around here that say there is water. Good to know. I don't need any right now, but that is a bonus if you're coming through this area. I did my usual routine where I hike while the chicken salad rehydrates, so I didn't lose much time on that, but I'll probably hang out here for a little bit and then get back on it. Starting to open up here, which is nice. Pretty cool view back here behind me. We've slowly transitioned into kind of a sandy vibe now. Nice and flat and sandy. I'll take it. It's easy on the feet. I do have a little bit of a battle going on currently with bugs. Mostly just little gnats and whatnot. But other than that, no real complaints, I don't believe. Still got some water, so I'm not worried about that either at this point until we get to camp. So that's nice. And actually, as a matter of fact, it reminds me I probably should drink some water. I have a tendency to forget to do that. But how cool is this area, huh? Pretty kind of stark yet chill vibe. Kind of cool, slightly creepy. Oh. Looks like we got a little offshoot, hopefully to a view. Sure looks like it. Oh wow. Look at that. Amazing. That is great. Can hear the water rushing down in there. See some cool bluffs over here. awesome. Not something I'm typically used to seeing in the middle of the trail. Toilet area. Now, there's no arrow, so it's not saying where the toilet area is. I can only assume that this is the toilet area. I don't know what they mean. There's kind of a herd path over here. I don't know. I'm confused. That apparently right there is a toilet area. But I don't see a toilet. Alright. On with the downhill. Oh no, wait. Something else over here. Oh, I do believe we are at my target area. Betty Creek Gap. So, this is what I've been aiming for now. I just need to look around for the Spur trail that my trail friend told me about. And, yep, still got white blazes. And start heading towards the river, I guess. Let's see what these signs here say. Southern Nanatahala Wilderness, Nanatahala National Forest. Now, does this say? This says camp. Alright, so Betty Creek Gap Trail and camp. So I believe we're going to take this trail here down towards the river where we're going to camp. Then we'll come back out here tomorrow, backtrack to here, and continue along the Appalachian Trail to get back to the vehicle. So what do we got over here? A little sign-in box of some sort. Let's see. Oh, I think this is probably just a trail log. Seen those before. I always got some fun entertaining stuff in them. Oh, this feels a little damp. Not exactly a waterproof box. Let's see. I'm with this guy. I really need to... Oh, okay. Rained a lot. Embrace the suck. A couple people losing their minds from too many miles on the trail, perhaps. Growling chicken here. My first time hiking camping ever. Alright, started a deep gap and ready to keep going. Alright, so there are non-Appalachian Trail through hikers signing this as well. That's cool. Alright, I'll put that back. Good to go. We're on it. Alright, well, it's probably less than 1/10 of a mile. You don't have to walk far at all, it seems, to get over to here where it's okay to camp and leave that other spot alone, which apparently got beat up. So I'm going to strip the pack off, scout around, and set up. What time is it? It is 3:05, and I think we've gone over a little over 10 miles. Let's see. Yeah, maybe closer to 11 miles or so. So that just means a little less miles tomorrow, as long as I calculated that correctly. But 11 and 5 is 16, so 22 mile loop. It can't be that much further tomorrow. Whew. All right, what do we got? Nice little cup of afternoon coffee. Ooh, almost too hot. I'll just let that cool down. I just got done putting some little bit of, I almost said bug spray, but actually recently I've been doing this Pickardin lotion, and I've been doing little individual packets. A couple of these guys is like a 1/4 ounce, and I get more than one use out of a packet. If I'm just doing exposed areas, I can get maybe 2 or 3 uses out of one of these throughout the day. And I just wrap it up in a plastic bag so it doesn't, you know, leak all over my stuff. So that's good. Since I put that on, the bugs seem to be leaving me alone. I got some nice pretty sounding vocal birds hanging out with me as I have my coffee break. The pack, I'll tell you what, so far this is my first trip with the Gregory Optic 48, and it feels really comfortable. I'm liking it a lot. It is my first pack I've ever had that has the separated back there, where there's a separate piece of kind of ventilated mesh that keeps my back against it, so that it's kind of like a false back, so that the actual back of the pack is back here, maybe a couple inches back, so that there's some airflow. And I have noticed, sure enough, my back is not getting nearly as hot as it usually does. It's mostly just my front, and that's because of my camera bag, my separate camera gear bag that I carry, that gray one. I've been liking it. Another little bonus that I didn't even realize, now it does come with a rain cover, I did know that, and I think that's really cool that pack manufacturers are finally coming around and including the pack, because when you're first starting, I know I've said it before, what a slap in the face. You think it's bad enough to have to spend all this money on a fancy pack, and then the guy at REI or EMS tells you, okay, time to buy a pack cover for 40 bucks. You're like, what? So this comes with a pack cover, which is awesome, and you know that it's going to be the right size for it, right? But what I didn't realize is, I didn't realize until I was actually going through packing. You see this top cover that I have on here? It flips down. It's just a thin piece of material with the Gregory emblem on there. That is not the one that was on it when I got it. There is a full top cover that comes with this, with the zippable pouch, both on the bottom and the top, I believe. And that gives you a little extra storage, but if you want to save like a quarter pound, apparently they include this with it. I just found it in one of the pockets. I took the other top pouch off because honestly, I'm so minimalist on this trip for the most part that I didn't really need the extra pockets or storage area on my bag. So I swapped it out, put this on, and honestly, to be honest, I could probably get away without even this because I have a rain cover that I brought with me already, which, by the way, I did swap out the rain cover that came with it for one that I happen to have already just because it is lighter and I already had it. But anyway, if it started raining, I could just throw the rain cover on and I'd be fine. But I suppose if I got caught in a quick shower or something, which isn't expected, you at least have this on there to keep stuff from going directly into your pack until you have time to get a pack cover on. So I went ahead and did it. If I wanted to strip even this minimalist cover, it only weighs an ounce, so it wouldn't have made that big of a difference. And I kind of wanted to show on the video what it looked like, so I brought it along. I'm going to get to my coffee. It's probably cool enough, although I want to show you something while we have some decent light. Remember I was talking about those adjustable clips and how I kind of slid this morning and fell on my butt? Well, check this out. Bottom quilt, of course, hammock gear, and the top quilt is tucked away in there, right there. But what I want to talk about is the straps. So remember last night I had to choke up a bit because when you use these whoopee systems, basically you connect it to your tree strap, and a lot of times the tree strap is a lot longer than you might always need because you want extra slack for those times when you have either a really large tree to wrap it around or a long hang space. It's not a big deal then either. But for me yesterday, I had to choke it up because the trees were too close together for that. So I wrapped it and we went over that. But what I could have done to make sure that I didn't have to worry about that at all is see the way that it's kind of threaded through there like that. Well, when it's threaded through there, it is locked in place. It's not going anywhere. And it allows me to choke up on the tree strap so that I can take as much slack out of the line as needed. And then it just runs through that clip there, much like a regular Dutch clip. And then I just make sure to keep it to the side of the tree, not on a hard bend or anything, so that it's not actually taking any pressure on the end here. It just kind of guides right through it and onto my hammock. That way, tonight, I shouldn't have to worry at all about another slip and slide situation. Alright, fast forward to 7:20 p.m. You know, I got here and I was so hungry I figured I was going to be having an early dinner, and next thing I know it's like 2 hours later. Although I did go around, I've been collecting some firewood just for a small fire. Behind me is a fire pit, pre-established, and I just kind of put a little log cabin kind of setup in there, and there's some remaining charred kind of logs, bits and pieces here and there. It'll be enough for me just to have a little something to stare at after it gets dark tonight. I can see a little bit more from here than last night. Plus, if I walk up behind us, relatively close to a gravel road back here. I'm not directly on it, but it's not too far behind me. I could go out there for a nice look up at the sky tonight for sure. That does bring up one little minor downside of this really awesome campsite. And that's that I have heard, you know, a car here and there, probably just two the entire time I've been here, and it's been a few hours driving up and down the Forest Service road there. But anyway, I'm about to eat my All-American Works burger. I already rehydrated this earlier. I'm looking forward to trying it again. So basically, I just put 2 ounces of water in with the beef mixture. Now I'm at the point where I'm going to throw in what they call the works. And it looks to me to be kind of like a cheese and onion kind of mixture. So I'm going to toss that in, stir it up, and then spoon this creation out onto my tortillas. The nice thing is there's 4 different condiments that came with it. Oh, I see some bits of tomato in here too. You know what? My meat wants to roll away. I'm not going to deal with that. We're going to put this right on the ground. Now I think I may have gotten a little caught up in collecting wood. Probably lost a little heat on this guy. Otherwise I'd probably have meltier cheese, but that's alright. So it's going to be pretty good. Yep, that is awesome. Now, I always end my hikes, or afterwards, with a post-hike burger. Cheeseburger, more specifically. So at first I was wondering, is this going to be a tease or a warm-up or what? I think it's just whetting my appetite. This is really good. Can't wait to try one on a bun tomorrow when we get back to the vehicle and I find somewhere to go for that. But I'm getting ahead of myself because this right here is the next best thing, I would say. Alright, well, I'm just going to enjoy this. I'll probably listen to an audiobook or a podcast, depending on what I'm in the mood for. Chill out, eventually have a fire. Sounds like a plan to me. Certainly nothing too big, nothing too fancy. Just something small to stare at and occupy my time and mind and whatnot. Nice water running by in the background, a little fire going. I got some of these remnant logs in here on the edge that are starting to take hold and catch a little bit, so whatever burn I can get out of that is fine. I don't want to stay up that late anyway, so there's no need to make a giant fire that I have to worry about having a ton of coals. And I got my bear bag lining up over there, so I'll put my food up soon because all I have left is my breakfast for tomorrow. So I will put that away because there's no more food or snacks to eat. Just coffee and fire staring. Next thing you know, it'll be day 3 of Standing Indian Loop Adventure. Picking up some decent elevation right from the gate here this morning as we leave the creek and forest road behind. Speaking of that forest road, the gravel road that runs opposite of the water we camped at. Whew, let me catch my breath here. There are plenty of campsites strewn about on the way to the water, on the left and the right, as well as 3 campsites right near the water like I was. But let's say they're all filled up if you come here on a weekend or a popular time. When I was scouting for Firewood last night, I went out to the gravel road and went on the other side. It's not, I don't know if it's officially the Betty Creek Trail anymore or not, but the trail does continue on the other side of the road, and I could see not very far in at all some more campsites. I saw a fire pit and whatnot, so I think there's more options back there if you need those. I went out to that road opening last night too, and the stars were amazing. All right, should be about 7 miles today, so just hoofing up this hill, and we got our first sign of the day already. Actually, this is apparently Mooney Gap, and another sign for Southern Nanatahala Wilderness as we climb up out of the little valley or gorge there. By the way, Nanatahala, for anyone wondering, is a Cherokee word. This was certainly their domain back in the day, and the translation for Nanatahala is land of the noonday sun. For those of you wondering what that means exactly, or the relevance, well, basically there are some spots in the Nanatahala Valley that are so deep and vegetated that the sun only reaches them dead on in the middle of the day. As I say that, I think I've come back out to said forest road, crossing over it. So this is what I walked out on last night. Got up at 6:30 this morning and still had a pretty semi-relaxed time at camp. Had a nice breakfast, had the ramen rescue, which is basically just kind of a kick-up packet, if you will, some dehydrated vegetables and cooked chicken, just to add a little more substance to my ramen noodles. Another benefit is it comes with a cooking bag, so I can steep cook the noodles. Basically just bust them up, throw them in there, throw in the hot water. That's important for me because I would never be able to cook a noodle dish like that in my little 450 milliliter cup, which is what I bring to save weight and space. So that gave me some calories, and then a nice bonus, good news and bad news. Good news is I found an extra bag of trail mix. I knew I didn't have 3 bags. I thought I was losing my mind. So I do have some trail mix to get me out of here too if I need it. Although it seems like I need oxygen more than anything else, huh? The bad news is I found it this morning just tucked in the outside water bottle pocket of my bag. So that's been laying underneath of me each night. Open bag of trail mix, that's good. Always a good feeling to find something like that and realize all those times you hung that bear bag, you're still sleeping with food. Anyway, I got that as a backup for energy, but hopefully we get back to the vehicle at a decent time. And my main goal that's driving me on is some tasty flame broiled goodness. It's the carrot on the end of the stick for me right now. Oh, wow. Wow. That is a nice view for 9:15 a.m. Look at that. Beautiful. Clouds caught down in there. Love that. Might be hardest push yet. Or maybe I'm just moving too fast. But just past, shoot, I think it was it Beecher? No, Bear Pen Gap. A sign that said Bear Pen Gap at least, so I think that's what was down there. Now we're going up this quite steep grade. This reminds me of like the Catskills or something. Definitely getting some elevation. But yeah, these rock formations definitely feel more like northeast is what I think of when I see these. Now of course they're all over the Appalachian Trail formations like this, but I'm just getting like a Catskills kind of vibe right now. Adirondacks, White Mountains maybe. Not enough pine trees for White Mountains, I guess. Alright, keep plugging along. Oh, relentless. Finally got done with the rock formations. And we got, I guess at least I could say they're kind enough to make stairs. Although, sometimes I feel like that makes it worse. 71 degrees, but I'm sweating. Ooh, now I got sun hitting me. Whew. Look at that view though. Looking out at that same ridge. Kind of hazy down in there for sure. But a good view nonetheless. Let's see what we got up ahead. Oh, got ourselves a fire tower. What do you say? Want to do it? Let's do it. First though, it looks like we got a sign here. What do we got? A living laboratory. The Coahee Basin in front of you is one of the oldest environmental studies in America. The Coahee Basin spans 2,200 to 5,200 feet in elevation. Wait a minute, hold on, check this out. This range in elevation allows scientists to study forests with different climates. For example, high elevation forests at Coweta are similar to forests found in upstate New York. That's crazy. That's exactly the vibe that I was getting. Alright. I certainly make a lot of mistakes on these videos, but every once in a while I luck out and I'm right about something. I knew I was getting a New York vibe. New York state of mind. Alright, let's go up this thing. Oh wow, this is probably going to be pretty good. Getting better. Two more flights. Good Lord. Alright. Last flight. Is that a hatch? I see a lock. Oh. Okay. Yep. That is sealed off from us. So, that's alright. Still a nice view. Right from here, right? That over there is the direction we came from. All the way over here. 360 degrees of mountaintops and clouds. Beautiful. I can't ask for a whole lot more than that. So I think that was probably our final big view of the day. I'm already, let's see here, I'll call it 3 miles in here. It's been an hour and a half, so that's a decent pace considering we're stopping for some views and whatnot. So, zip that up, get myself back down here and off of the steel onto the trail. A little bit of a pretty rugged descent right after the fire tower. Actually, probably my first descent where I really had to kind of take it slow a little bit, watch my footing a lot more than some of the other downhills on this trip. But since then, the last mile and a half, couple miles or so, probably some of the mildest, levelest, least rocky sections of trail that I've encountered on this loop so far. So if you're doing it counterclockwise like me, it's a pretty nice little wind down here as we make it back to the parking area. That being said, I'm still at around 4,500 feet right now, or something like that. 48. And the parking area is down in the low 3,000s. So I know I'm going to have to give this elevation up at some point. So I'm thinking there's probably going to be, without even looking at the topo map, a final steep descent of sorts. A little bit of ankle work, I'm sure. And then we'll be back at the Jeep, it seems. right, got an intersection here towards Glass Mine Gap, and Long Branch Trail starts right here. AT continues that way. So after almost 2 days, I guess, on the Appalachian Trail, right, we're going to finally depart it. This is the home stretch. We're a little over 6 miles in right now. I'm making good time. I haven't had any steep descents as I was expecting yet. It's just been a constant mild descent, and it's down to like 4,000 feet now, close to it. It's 11:21, which will put me in the car at a decent time, which is good because I still have to do a 11-ish hour drive home. That's okay, I'm not thinking about that yet. All I'm thinking about is cheeseburgers. So I'm gonna get headed down here. Looks like it, speaking of descents, it is descending. Come on, Jeep. Come on, cheeseburger. Well, I see the Jeep over there. I do believe that means that we have made it. Mission complete. Back to the vehicle in one piece. Feeling good. Got a bit of an appetite, but I'm feeling pretty good. So thank you everybody for joining me on this one. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Also got to give a big thank you to my loyal viewers that support the channel by shopping through my Amazon link. All you got to do next time you're going to do some shopping, just go to syntek77.com/Amazon, or simply bookmark the link in the top right corner of this video, and whatever you purchase during that session, a small contribution will be made by Amazon towards the next trip and the next adventure. No additional cost to you. Speaking of adventures, don't forget the GPS data as well. That's on my website for this trip as well as all of my other trips. It's just the trip data page, or it's in the blog post that's linked down below as well. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the gear list is down there as well if you're interested in any or all of the gear that I used on this trip. Whew. All that talking made me hungry. I can't wait to take this pack off, get in the vehicle, maybe have a little air conditioning, hit the road. Got a long drive in front of me, so I don't know how fancy my flame broiled treat's going to be. It might just be some road food, or maybe I'll discover some hole in the wall along the way, but that's what I'm going to do. So until next time, I'm Syntek77, and right now it's cheeseburger time.